The rumor going around is that Toni Braxton still holds a grudge against Oprah for how she treated her on TV, and it's said that this has impacted Toni's career. Allegedly, Toni is now speaking out about the situation once again.
Toni Braxton! She's so freaking mean to me. I was in shock. Do you take responsibility for the situation that you're in right now?
100%.
100%.
100%.
I couldn't believe it because I loved her so much. I admired her and looked up to her. And she pretty much reprimanded me. I read that you were upset about stories that your overspending caused this. She says to me, I hear you have Gucci flatware. I'm Oprah Winfrey and I don't have Gucci flatware. First of all, I didn't know Gucci made silverware. You ain't got Gucci flatware because you didn't want to buy it. It's not because you couldn't afford it. What do you mean? And immediately, she made me feel this big. This big. That moment completely changed my career. It made people look
Toni Braxton looked up to Oprah, and a lot of people believe Oprah could have supported Toni during her hardest times instead of making her feel worse. It seems that Toni may still be upset with Oprah for how things played out, especially when it affected her career. But can we really blame Toni for feeling a certain way about Oprah? To give some context on this whole Toni and Oprah situation, despite Toni's massive success, which includes earning over $170 million in record sales, she still filed for bankruptcy multiple times. The crazy part is, while she was bringing in millions for her record label, Arista, she was only making less than 35 cents per album. That seems hard to believe, especially considering Toni had multiple Grammys and had sold over 70 million albums. Toni started out singing with her sisters and the Braxtons in the late 80s, and later signed for a solo album. Her 1993 album Toni Braxton was an instant hit, going to #1 on the Billboard 200 and selling 10 million copies. Hits like Breathe Again and Another Sad Love Song helped boost the album, which was produced by Babyface and Antonio Lay Reid. Toni followed that up with Secrets, which included the massive hit Unbreak My Heart. The single sold 10 million copies worldwide, making it one of the most successful singles ever released. Toni went on to release 9 studio albums, the latest in 2020, and all were successful. But despite all of this, Toni was still getting paid very little, less than 35 cents per album. She even filed a lawsuit against her record label. In January 1998, just weeks after the lawsuit, Toni filed for bankruptcy. She later revealed that her financial struggles were due to a poor contract where she earned less than $2,000 in royalties and had to reimburse the label for costs like clothes, travel, studio time, and music videos. Things got so rough that Toni was accused of transferring $53,000 to her ex-husband, Kerry Lewis, in order to avoid paying back creditors. Sadly, in 2010, Toni had to file for bankruptcy again, this time due to health issues. She was diagnosed with microvascular angina and lupus, which led her to cancel a major Las Vegas contract. It's been a tough road for her, but she's continued to persevere.
Like a lot of people don't understand, my second baby was sick. I have lupus, and my show in Vegas got canceled.
And the insurance wouldn't cover
The insurance didn't cover it, so I had to pay myself.
That's a lot. That was a lot of money.
It was a lot of money. And a big concert, get the lights, get the band on stage, hotel room, salary. So then you have nothing.
Toni Braxton also faced financial struggles in 2019 when the Internal Revenue Service filed a lion against her on December 4th. According to the filing, she owed $340,252.99 in back taxes for 2017. Just days later, the California Franchise Tax Board also filed a separate lion, stating she owed $164,154.64. Altogether, that brought her total tax debt to nearly $500,000. During this challenging time, Toni decided to open up about her financial situation in an interview with Oprah. She had hoped the conversation would help clear her name and generate some understanding from the public. However, Toni later said the interview ended up being a difficult and disappointing experience. Instead of feeling supported, she felt that Oprah came across as critical, dismissive, and unsympathetic. Toni recalled being asked pointed questions like, "Do you have Gucci flatware? And do you have a lion skin rug? Oprah also reportedly made comments such as, you couldn't have possibly thought you could buy 7 or 8 cars. I hear you have Gucci silverware. I'm Oprah Winfrey, and I don't have Gucci silverware. Toni felt these remarks were unnecessary and only served to make her look irresponsible in front of a national audience. She later said that her publicist encouraged her to do the interview, but she regretted it, believing it made things worse and further harmed her public image. Toni also expressed disappointment in Oprah, accusing her of not being as supportive or understanding as she had hoped. She mentioned feeling that Oprah's comments reflected more about her own preferences and insecurities, noting that it wasn't about what she could afford, it was about the assumptions people made. In the end, Toni felt misunderstood and let down, especially by someone she had once admired and expected empathy from during one of the toughest times in her life.
Toni Braxton! She was so freaking mean to me. I was in shock. Do you take responsibility for the situation that you're in right now?
100%.
100%.
100%.
I couldn't believe it because I loved her so much. I admired her and looked up to her. And she pretty much reprimanded me. I read that you were upset about stories that your overspending caused this. She says to me, I hear you have Gucci flatware. I'm Oprah Winfrey and I don't have Gucci flatware. First of all, I didn't know Gucci made silverware. You ain't got Gucci flatware because you didn't want to buy it. It's not because you couldn't afford it. What do you mean? And immediately, she made me feel this big. This big. That moment completely changed my career. It made people look down.
There were reports suggesting that Oprah may have embarrassed Toni Braxton on her show, even hinting at an ulterior motive by alerting Toni's record label about what she was planning to discuss. According to a source, Toni filed for bankruptcy during a renegotiation of her contract. At the time, it raised concerns for LaFace Records, especially since Toni had sold over 16 million records. When Toni appeared on Asterisk, the Oprah Winfrey Show Asterisk, to talk about her financial struggles, Oprah allegedly called LaFace Records, saying, Toni's on my show today. She intends to make you guys look really bad, but I think it's messed up. So watch the show. Many viewers were upset by Oprah's actions, with some believing that Oprah might have been projecting her own insecurities onto Toni. Oprah had shared in the past how she would find creative ways to save money, such as reusing pantyhose and even cutting off one light of a pair that had a run, pairing it with another to make the hose last longer. She also admitted to reusing $3.99 eyelashes, claiming the worn contours helped them fit better. For Oprah, these efforts to save money were about being practical, but it seemed that she may have had difficulty relating to Toni's more luxurious lifestyle, which included items like Gucci silverware. Fans began to believe that Oprah's behavior towards Toni was rooted in her own feelings of discomfort around wealth. Oprah once shared a story about how, early in her career, she was hesitant to spend on luxury items, recalling an experience when she couldn't bring herself to buy a $49.95 flatware set at Crate & Barrel. Despite her financial struggles, she later recalled the experience of seeing someone debate purchasing the set, and Oprah paid for it, remembering what it felt like to not be able to afford things. She mentioned that gratitude became a guiding principle for her life, but the story left some questioning whether Oprah should have shown more empathy to Toni. Fans also argued that Oprah could have shown more understanding toward Toni, especially given that Toni had been the primary breadwinner for her family. Toni had tearfully shared how she carried much of the responsibility for the family's financial support, while her sisters played a more passive role, with only Tamar offering occasional help. Many felt Oprah could have extended grace toward Toni, understanding the burden she carried.
Daddy's divorced and a divorced mom pretty much got nothing. I'm not going to leave my mom by herself. So I'm going to make sure my mother's taken care of. None of my siblings have helped me take care of my mother to make sure she was okay except for Tamar. No one said, this is before Vincent. Before Vincent. Mommy's car insurance is due. Let's help Toni with mommy car insurance.
Toni also revealed that while she was handling the financial responsibilities, her sisters Trina and Tawanda insisted on getting paid for working with her. On the other hand, Tamar, who was also helping with the bills, never asked for anything in return. It wasn't that Toni expected her sisters to work for free, but rather that she hoped, since she was supporting them financially, they would show some responsibility by helping care for their mom and taking care of other things
something about charging for a show.
Tamara
It's
has
been
been charging for
years.
show for years.
My sister Tamara never charges me to do backgrounds anymore. My sister treated us. My sister Tawanda, she's an executive assistant. That makes sense for her to get a salary. I just wish every situation was not about Tony's savings.
I have never charged Tony. And what I'm saying is it pissed me off. When I saw that you and Tawana get paid, I was pissed.
So maybe Toni buying a few expensive things was simply her way of appreciating herself after all the hard work she put into supporting her entire family. She didn't deserve the criticism she received, especially not from Oprah. In her book, Toni explained that her financial troubles weren't due to overspending on luxury items. Instead, they stemmed from a difficult contract with her management, which required her to cover the costs of her tours herself. That included paying her band, crew, and other expenses directly from her own earnings because the label wouldn't cover them. As a result, she had to take out large loans. On top of that, she was dealing with growing medical bills due to her lupus diagnosis. Toni mentioned that the designer flatware people criticized was one of the few luxury items she allowed herself, a small reward for her hard work. That was what Oprah chose to focus on during the interview, which many saw as unfair. Even Monique weighed in, posting a clip from the interview and commenting on how Toni was treated. She wrote something along the lines of, "If you think Oprah only targets black men, it's because black women have been made nearly invisible. Watch what she did to our sister Toni B, in case you forgot or never knew. Love us to life." Allegedly, Toni still feels hurt by how that moment affected her career. Like Monique, she's reportedly still hoping that Oprah will one day issue a public apology. Many people agree, pointing out that Toni's financial challenges weren't about Gucci silverware, they were about an unfair system that failed to support her. Yet, Oprah's interview shifted the narrative away from issues like how artists are compensated and instead placed the blame squarely on Toni's personal choices. Some believe that was a missed opportunity to have a bigger conversation about fairness in the music industry. While no apology has come, Monique is still waiting on hers. Fans continue to speak out. As for the broader question of whether Oprah tends to be overly critical of certain people, especially within the black community, that's something that's been discussed for years. So what do you think? Do you believe Toni Braxton deserves an apology? Is Oprah
Drop those
too
thoughts
harsh?
in the comments
Should the focus
section
have been
below.
more on the industry instead of Toni's spending? Let's talk about it.